In November of 2025, a woman named Carla spent $11,000 in 40 minutes. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't rich. She had $11,000 in a savings account she'd built over 4 years. And then, in less time than it takes to watch this sentence, it was gone. She wasn't the target of a scam. She was the subject of an experiment, not one she agreed to. One almost every person watching this has already joined. The scientist who first proved this wasn't a con artist. He was a Stanford neuroscientist named Brian Knudsen. In 2007, he put people in a brain scanner and showed them the word sale. What he found rewired how an entire industry sells to you. But to understand what he found, you first need to understand what your brain was built for. 200,000 years ago, food was not guaranteed. When a herd of animals suddenly appeared, or a tree was heavy with fruit, your ancestors did not wait. They grabbed everything they could before it vanished, because tomorrow it might not be there. That instinct kept your species alive. It is still fully loaded in your skull today. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer groups like the Kalahari San found something important about that instinct. Scarcity in that world was communal. When food was found, it was shared, because everyone's survival depended on everyone else's. There was no company deciding, on a schedule, to make the berries feel rare. Now, scarcity is a setting in a piece of software. A retailer can decide this morning that only 3 items are left, whether or not that is true. Your brain does not know the difference between a real famine and a fake countdown timer. It responds to both exactly the same way. This is where Knudsen's scan becomes the whole story. When his subjects simply saw a product they liked, one part of the brain lit up, the nucleus accumbens, the brain's anticipation center. It does not activate when you get the reward. It activates when you expect one. A neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz discovered why, decades earlier, using monkeys and drops of juice. He found that a monkey's dopamine neurons fired hardest not when the juice arrived, but the moment a signal predicted the juice was coming. Scientists call this a reward prediction error. The thrill lives in the gap between expecting and receiving. Every countdown clock, every only 3 left, every red sale tag is aimed directly at that gap. The moment you see a red sale tag, before you have decided anything, that region is already firing. You are not deciding to want the deal. You are already wanting it. The decision you think you are about to make already happened without you. But there was a second brain region in Knudsen's scan, and this one is the part nobody talks about. It's called the insula, and its job is simple. It processes pain, including the specific pain of paying. In Knudsen's experiment, that region fired when subjects saw the price. Paying for something genuinely, measurably hurts. And a discount doesn't just lower a number, it lowers that pain, even when the total you spend stays the same. 2 researchers at Carnegie Mellon, Drazen Prelek and Duncan Symester, tested how far that pain could actually be pushed around. In 2001, they ran a real auction for basketball tickets, splitting bidders into 2 groups. One group could only bid in cash. The other could only bid with a credit card. The credit card bidders were willing to pay, on average, roughly twice as much for the exact same tickets. The tickets didn't change. The pain of paying did. A card delays the hurt until a statement arrives weeks later, which means every tap of a card is quietly disconnecting your decision from the discomfort that used to keep it in check. So a discount doesn't just lower the pain. Paying with plastic already lowered it before the discount ever showed up. 2 separate anesthetics, working on the exact same nerve, at the exact same moment you click buy. This is called anchoring, and it might be the single most quietly effective trick in retail. Here's how it works. You show a shopper a high price first. That number sinks into their mind like an anchor. It becomes the reference point for everything after it. Then you drop a second, lower number right next to it, and the second number is judged only against the anchor you planted. A researcher named Amos Tversky, working with Daniel Kahneman, proved this decades before online shopping existed. Even a completely random number, one with nothing to do with the product, moved people's estimates. Decades later, the behavioral economist Dan Ariely pushed this idea one step further with a magazine. A subscription page offered three options: web only for $59, print only for $125, or web and print for the same $125. Almost nobody chose print only. It was there for one purpose only: to make the combined option look free by comparison. Researchers call this a decoy, an option nobody is meant to pick, planted purely to steer you toward another one. Once you know to look for the decoy, you start seeing it everywhere. The medium popcorn that costs almost nothing more than the small. The middle phone storage tier that exists only to make the top tier look reasonable. None of these choices are illegal. They are simply built around the exact same anchor your brain cannot help but use. In many documented cases, retailers have been caught raising a price for a few days, just to discount it back down. The discount was real. The original price was theater. Anchoring and pain relief are only two layers. There is a third, and it works on your body, not your mind. It's called urgency. You've seen it 1,000 times without naming it. Only 2 left in stock. 14 people are viewing this right now. Sale ends in 3 hours, 12 minutes, 6 seconds. Every one of those phrases triggers cortisol, the same hormone that spikes when you're being chased. Your heart rate rises. Your focus narrows. Careful thinking becomes physically harder to do. Blood flow measurably shifts away from the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for weighed, careful decisions. A designer named Harry Brignall gave this entire category of tricks a name in 2010. He called them dark patterns, and he started cataloging them one by one on a public website. One he named the Roach Motel. Easy to get into a subscription, deliberately hard to ever get out. Another he named confirm shaming, the cancel button that guilts you for even trying to say no. In 2019, the Norwegian Consumer Council published a report examining these exact tactics at scale. They studied booking platforms and found urgency messages like, "X people are looking at this right now," running constantly on nearly every listing. Their complaint helped trigger regulatory scrutiny across Europe into whether some of these messages were even true. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission has gone after companies directly for manufacturing fake urgency. In 2024, the agency finalized a rule specifically banning fake reviews, fake testimonials, and deceptive urgency claims in online selling. This is not a fringe concern. It is now, officially, a regulated form of deception. But regulation moves slowly, and the industry that built these tools moves fast, and it doesn't only live on shopping websites anymore. Live shopping platforms like TikTok Shop have taken every one of these mechanisms and put them on a stopwatch. A host holds up a product, announces a price drop that lasts exactly 90 seconds, and a counter ticks the number of buyers upward in real time. Anchoring, pain relief, urgency, and social proof, all firing within a single 90-second window. This isn't limited to cheap impulse items either. The streetwear brand Supreme built an entire billion-dollar business on manufactured scarcity. Extremely limited weekly drops, deliberately undersupplied, sell out in minutes and resell for many times their original price. The scarcity isn't a shortage. It's a design decision, made in a boardroom, about exactly how badly you should want something. Picture the room where all of this actually gets decided. Not a dark villain's lair. A bright office with snacks on the counter. 2 teams. One tests button colors. The other tests exactly how scared you should feel about missing out. They run what's called an A/B test. Half the visitors see one version, half see another. Whichever converts more, wins, and becomes what everyone sees. Nobody in that room is a mad scientist. They're just optimizing a number on a dashboard called conversion rate. What that number actually measures is how many people stopped resisting. They don't need a brain scanner. They have something almost as accurate: your click history, your hesitations, your hover time. Some retailers now show different discounts to different people for the exact same item at the exact same moment. Not because the cost changed, because your resistance level was calculated to be slightly different from your neighbor's. Now here is where this stops being about clever design and starts being about real money. In 2023, shoppers in the United States spent almost $70 billion online during Black Friday and Cyber Monday alone. That is not the total for the year. That is 4 days. And a large share of that spending goes straight onto a credit card, not out of a savings account. The average credit card in America now charges over 20% interest a year. If you carry that $59 deal on a card and only pay the minimum, it can end up costing you close to double. The pain of paying didn't disappear when you saw the discount. It was just delayed, and it grew interest while it waited. The average American household carrying credit card debt owes more than $7,000, according to Federal Reserve data. Not from one reckless purchase. From hundreds of small ones, each one dressed up as a smart decision. Carla wasn't the only ordinary person this mechanism caught. Picture a man named Marcus, an accountant, careful with spreadsheets by profession. Marcus never impulse bought clothing or shoes. His weakness was electronics, and one flash sale app knew it. Over 18 months, small deal-of-the-day purchases he barely remembered added up to just over $4,000. None of it felt like a mistake in the moment. Every single purchase felt like catching a good deal before it disappeared. That's the cruelest part of the entire mechanism. It doesn't feel like losing. It feels like winning. Your brain logs a discount purchase the same way it logs an actual reward, because to the nucleus accumbens, a good deal is a good deal. It cannot tell the difference between money you earned and money you were guided into believing you saved. And this is exactly why the people who build these systems don't need you to be foolish. They need you to be human. So let's go back to Carla, the woman from the very beginning of this video. She wasn't careless with money. She managed a household budget for a family of 4 for over a decade. But on that one night, she opened an app during a live stream sale with a visible countdown clock. Every item flashed a crossed-out price. Every item claimed only a few were left. A number in the corner counted other buyers in real time. In 40 minutes, her prefrontal cortex was competing against anchoring, urgency, social proof, and a manufactured scarcity clock, all at once. It wasn't a fair fight. It was never designed to be. The next morning, she didn't remember deciding to buy most of it. That is not a character flaw. That is exactly how the system was built to work. You are not weak for falling for this. You are simply running the same brain your ancestors used to survive a famine. The only difference is that famine was once rare, and now it is manufactured on purpose, every single day, in every single app. So what do the people who never fall for this actually do differently? It isn't willpower. Willpower loses to a cortisol spike almost every time. It's structure. They remove the decision from the moment it's designed to be hardest, using a small set of fixed rules. Call it a buyer defense protocol. 12 rules, each one targeting a specific mechanism you just watched. Rule 1 targets the cortisol spike directly. Wait 24 hours before any non-essential purchase over a set amount. Screenshot the item instead of buying it. Set a reminder for tomorrow. Same time. Most items, revisited the next morning with a rested prefrontal cortex, simply stop feeling urgent. Rule 2 targets the credit card study directly. Delete saved card numbers from every shopping app you use. Typing the full number back in by hand adds friction, and friction reconnects you to the pain of paying. Rule 3 targets urgency notifications at the source. Unsubscribe from every flash sale email and push alert. One unsubscribe tool can clear dozens of retailer lists in a single sitting. Do it once, and the pressure stops arriving. Rule 4 targets the decoy effect. Before comparing options, write down what you actually need in one sentence. A written need is a fixed anchor of your own, one the decoy option cannot quietly move. Rule 5 targets decision fatigue and late-night vulnerability. Set a hard rule. No shopping after 9 p.m. Retail data shows late-night hours convert the highest specifically, because willpower is lowest then. Simply removing the window removes the risk. Rule 6 restores the pain of paying on purpose. Move discretionary spending to a prepaid card loaded once a month. When the card is empty, the spending stops, the same way cash always used to stop it. Rule 7 targets the anticipation trigger itself. Use a wish list or a parked cart instead of an instant buy button. Let it sit for a week. If you forget it existed, that was never a need. That was a nucleus accumbens flare. Rule 8 puts a number on every purchase before you commit to it. Divide the price by how many times you'll realistically use it. A $60 item used twice costs $30 an hour of value. The same $60 used 200 times costs pennies. Rule 9 caps the entire category instead of fighting each purchase individually. Set one fixed discretionary budget per month. Every impulse buy now competes against every other one, inside the same envelope, instead of against an unlimited account. Rule 10 pays your future self before the marketing machine gets a chance to reach your present self. Automate that transfer for the same day your paycheck lands, so the money is already gone before a single countdown timer appears. Rule 11 makes the pattern visible. Log every discount purchase for 30 days in one simple note. Most people who try this are startled by how many entries share the exact same trigger words. Limited, ending soon, only a few left. Rule 12 is the only one that requires no app, no card, no automation at all. Ask one honest question out loud. Would I still want this without the clock, the crossed-out price, and the number of other buyers climbing beside it? 12 rules. None of them clever. All of them boring. Which, by now, you already know is exactly the point. If the answer to that one question is yes, buy it, with your eyes open, on your own timeline. If the answer is no, you just watched your own nucleus accumbens try to make a decision your prefrontal cortex never approved. That difference, multiplied across a lifetime of purchases, is not a small thing. It's the wedge of the pie labeled impulse. Redirected into an ordinary index fund instead, that wedge doesn't just sit there. It compounds, quietly, the same way every boring dollar does. The industry that profits from your urgency has a marketing budget in the billions. The protocol that protects you from it costs nothing. It is simply the decision to notice what is actually happening and to run your own 12 rules instead of someone else's countdown clock. Because once you have seen the countdown timer for what it actually is, you can never fully unsee it again. The next sale banner you see will still trigger your nucleus accumbens. That part will not stop. But now, right behind it, a second thought will follow. Whose decision is this actually? Mine, or the room that designed it? Real financial confidence isn't about never wanting things. It's about knowing exactly which want is yours. The person who looks boring in the checkout line, calmly walking past the flash sale, isn't missing out on anything. They are simply the only person in the store whose prefrontal cortex is still fully online. And a decade from now, that tiny, unglamorous protocol is worth far more than any single discount ever could be. If this changed the way you look at your own shopping cart, subscribe, because next week's video breaks down another quiet mechanism most people never notice. Tell me in the comments, have you ever caught yourself buying something purely because a clock was counting down? What's the one purchase you still think about, the one you know, looking back, was never really about the product? Your brain didn't fail you that day. It did exactly what 200,000 years of evolution built it to do. The only difference now is that you know who's on the other side of the countdown clock.